Hello and welcome back. In this video series, we explore the new FreeQMS complaints module by entering and processing an electronic complaint. This complaint will concern a purely fictional medical device product. The complaint process, although not identical, is roughly the same for ISO 9001, AS 9100, IATF 16949, and other quality system customers that field, investigate, and act on complaints. In part 4 of this video series, we will complete the verification of effectiveness activity for our complaint, Lifeguard 600 PCA pump over infusion to hospitalized patient, and then close the complaint through a 21 CFR Part 11 compliant electronic signature process under the Approvals tab. As a refresher, we're going to start from the home screen of the Complaints module. We're going to select our complaint, Lifeguard PCA pump over infusion to hospitalized patient. In part 1 of this video series, we created the initial complaint. In this complaint, an infusion pump our company manufactures over-infused a patient. The patient's heart stopped temporarily. This was reported by the hospital. We added a source and the part information for the pump. In part 2, we switched to the Activities tab and investigated the complaint, and determined that this pump infused an extra bolus shot due to a failure of its internal battery, which caused the clock to reset. We've been careful in each video to remind users that FreeQMS instructional videos should never be construed as legal or regulatory advice. In our fictional example, however, we have documented that there is a severe injury to a patient, and, after our investigation, we have determined that the fault lies with our device. The device in our example is sold only in the USA and falls under US regulations, which led us to perform and attach a US FDA decision tree to the reportability assessment activity. Our reportability assessment concluded that this is a reportable event. We opted to use the FreeQMS Notify External Party notification to track our notification of the FDA within the complaint record. This is a great organizational tool to keep all complaint files in one place. This activity contains a copy of our ESG submission. In the third part of our video series, we switched back to the Information tab and reviewed our problem statement. In this complaint, a PCA pump over-infused a hospitalized patient with pain medication. This led to the patient's heart stopping temporarily. This is a complex and serious complaint that would probably need a considerable help from quality team to determine the corrective action. As this is a tutorial, however, we had a correction and corrective action in mind. We switched back to the Activities tab and performed a correction to update our pump firmware and the directions for use for our pump. We also performed a corrective action to update the SOP governing pump service. We also sent a field notice to notify current customers. So, we have a new firmware and a plan in place to roll it out, but how do we measure success? That brings us to this video. After a long introduction, we're going to have to verify the effectiveness of our corrective action. We want to make sure that the process to roll out this new, potentially life-saving firmware to our pumps is working. Let's click Create Complaint Activity, then Verification of Effectiveness. We will complete this form. Activity status will be new. Report % of pumps with new firmware during management review. Assign to, we will assign this to our logged in user. The start date will be today's date, and the due date will be 30 days from today. We can leave complaint date blank for now, and the legacy record will be NA. Complaint items is where we will select our firmware. Once again, it was not necessary to do this, and we could select the pump, but this is a great organizational tool for companies that want increased trending down the road. Verification of effectiveness. Here is where we will put our example correction. Graph total number of pumps in the field with affected firmware. Graph number of pumps returned to headquarters for maintenance. Graph number of pumps serviced in the field, trend total number of pumps versus total number of pumps with update firmware, present during management review. And let's click Create. Great, our verification of effectiveness is created. Let's pause and talk about this briefly. What exactly are we doing here? Well, in this complaint, the quality department is driving improvement by implementing a new process to correct faulty firmware on infusion pumps. But in the real world, shipping and operations and manufacturing and service and all these other departments involved do not always report into quality and are sometimes out of quality's purview. This means that quality can respond to a complaint, update things on paper, and these updates may not always reach the field. In our fictional example, we're performing a verification of effectiveness to determine if our fixes get to the field. How are we doing that? By shortcutting all the steps between quality and the customer and determining an end measurement of effectiveness, number of total pumps versus the number of pumps with the new firmware installed. This helps us gauge with a final figure how effective our new process is. We also need to talk about who we are presenting the effectiveness to: management. Why would we present the results of this complaint remediation to management? Well, for several reasons. A, we want management to be aware of this issue and this person affected by the overinfusion. B, we want management to be aware of the steps, in this case a correction and a corrective action, we're taking to remediate the complaint. C, we want management to see how effective our steps are. D, it is unlikely up to management to make a determination on how pumps need the updated firmware and the associated risk. And E, last but perhaps most important, if our rollout is not effective due to other departments not following the new procedure, it is management that will need to take action or provide additional resources. We're going to complete our verification by attaching the management review presentation and record, thus managing a complete complaint remediation process in FreeQMS. Let's select our verification of effectiveness. In real life, it would likely take some time to management review. As this is a tutorial, we will complete this VOE. Let's click Edit and update the form. Activity status is closed. Complete date can be today's date, and then we can click Save. Now we need to attach evidence of management review. For that, we will use FreeQMS's evidence system. We'll start by clicking Add Complaint Activity Verification. For the evidence box, 2021 Management Review showing trended pump updates on slide 110. We will click Choose File next to Upload and select a dummy file from our computer, 30 September 2021 Management Review Presentation.pptx. For file notes we can say Duplicate of original file requested from .control, and then click Create. Let's click Add Complaint Activity Verification again. We're going to add our management review form. For evidence, we'll say Signed Management Review Form showing that pump firmware updates were presented and acknowledged as an input to management review. Then we'll click Choose File next to Upload and select our management review form. Here for file notes we can type NA, and then click Create. Great, we've now completed our VOE and taken the complaint process from start to finish with every step tracked in FreeQMS. There's just one thing left to do. We need to close our complaint using FreeQMS's electronic signature process. Let's start by clicking the Approvals tab. Here we will start the electronic complaint approval cycle by clicking the fairly ubiquitous Add an Approval Cycle to Close this Open Complaint Record button. We obviously do not cover writing a company procedure for complaints in this video, but the FreeQMS electronic approval process, which is the same in every module, is meant to take the place of a physical signature space on a paper complaint form. Here we will give a title, Close Complaint Lifeguard 600 PCA Pump Overinfusion to Hospitalized Patient. We will put the example comments of All Activities Complete. Under Approvers, we will select everyone that our SOP requires. For this example, we're going to select our logged in user as a representative of quality and Chip as a representative of engineering. In reality, a complaint this complex at a large company may have many approvers. FreeQMS supports adding as many approvers as you like through this process. Let's click Create. We've now created a validated 21 CFR Part 11 compliant electronic approval cycle. Let's click Approve and sign for our user. Here we will enter our password and any comments. We will just put NA for this example and click Approve. Great, now we just need to wait for our engineering user to sign. After a quick break, it looks like our engineering user is signed. The complaint is now approved to close. We can see the status is automatically updated in the upper right corner to closed. Awesome, we've now completed a complete electronic complaint in FreeQMS. We hope you enjoyed this video series. Don't forget to check the FreeQMS channel regularly for more great videos on quality processes, and we'll see you soon.